The first night was quiet except for the sound of the walls breathing. I thought it was the radiator kicking in, but it came from higher, up right above the crown of my head. Like someone was exhaling into plaster. I moved into the duplex after my divorce, not because I wanted to be alone, but because I thought it would be easier to survive the echo without another voice competing inside the same room. The place was old mid-century, nothing special. A hallway that led to nowhere, a bedroom with no closet light, a kitchen that faced a brick wall. I told myself the emptiness was clean, that quiet meant peace. But by the fifth night, the whispering started. Not words at first, not really, just a pressure behind the drywall, like a mouth forming. Something but too softly to break it free. I thought it was the neighbors. I share one wall on the left side with an older couple I've never seen. Their windows always dark and the paper taped to their door. Something from the county about inspection has never moved since I got here. So I pressed my ear to the living room wall around 11 p.m. and waited. A minute passed. Nothing. I turned to walk away, and then it came, not a sound but a suggestion of one. Like something shifted its weight on the other side, just slow enough to be missed, except your body knows before your brain. As I slept on the couch that night, eyes open to the ceiling, I kept telling myself you can't hear whispers unless you're whispering. By the 8th night it had learned my routine. It wouldn't speak until I turned the light off. I timed it. I tested it. No whisper while I ate dinner. No sound while brushing my teeth. But the second I clicked the lamp by the couch, soft and deliberate, like someone not trying to scare me but trying to remind me I was not alone. It never grew louder. That's what made it worse. It never screamed, never banged. The whisper didn't demand my attention. It waited for it, like it knew it already had it. Around night 9. Started taking notes. I didn't know why. Maybe it felt like if I wrote it down, I could prove to myself it wasn't real. That night I logged 10:56 p.m. Whispering started 2 minutes after lights off. 4 seconds long pattern of 3 breaths. Not words. Left side. I even marked the wall with tape. Next day, I opened the drywall. I cut it open myself, hands shaking, with the kind of fear that pretends to be courage. I found nothing. Just insulation, some old wire, a nail. But that's not the part that stayed with me. It was the air inside. It was warm, too warm, like something had just left. I left the wall open that night. I wanted to prove I wasn't being irrational, that it was the house. That old insulation groans, or mice chew, or ducks breathe. But the whisper came back anyway, this time from the other side, the far wall one I hadn't touched. I turned every light on in the house and just stood there barefoot, wondering how far the human mind can bend before it breaks loud enough to be noticed. By the 10th night I called someone. Not the police, not a friend, I don't have those anymore. I called a drywall contractor. I told him there were noises behind the walls, and I just wanted to see what was inside. He didn't ask questions. He gave me a date, next week. 7 days. I remember standing by the window after I hung up, watching the same car pass my street twice. That part probably means nothing, but it felt like something watching me choose silence over sense. That night, I slept in my bed again. I don't know why. Maybe I thought if it followed me, that would prove it was inside me. That it wasn't the wall, or the room, or the air, but something else. It waited until I closed my eyes. That's the part that broke me. I felt it before I heard it. A slight pressure in my chest, like holding your breath after someone asks a question you don't want to answer. Then the whisper, not from the wall but from behind my headboard. No inside it, not loud, not cruel, just a presence forming syllables too slowly for me to catch. I didn't turn the light on, I just listened. Night 11, I didn't sleep. I made coffee at 2 a.m. and sat in the hallway directly between the rooms. I thought if I put myself in the center, I could control the direction. Like maybe the sound would have to choose. I didn't blink for hours. Around 342, it came not from a wall this time, from the floor. A slow exhale through old tile. I dropped the cup. It didn't shatter, just rolled toward the door and rested. I didn't move at this point. I started recording. Just audio, my phone placed in different spots each night. Nothing ever came back. Just static dead air. Once on night 12, there was a brief spike. I looped it for hours. It wasn't a word, not exactly, but there's a shape we recognize even without sound. Like how you know someone's watching you before they speak. I could feel the vowels, unfinished. I played it in reverse, slowed it, sent it through 3 different programs, nothing, but I still kept it. It's the only proof I had that something wanted to be heard. That morning I opened the hallway closet to find the vacuum, and the bulb inside had burned out. That's normal. What wasn't normal was the smell. Warm dust, like when someone stands too close to a heater. I hadn't opened that closet in over a week. I leaned in half expecting to see something left by the previous tenant. But it was empty, except for one thing, a folded piece of paper, yellowed, brittle, resting behind a box of unused outlet covers. It had one sentence written in pencil: "The walls forget slower than we do." I sat on the floor for 20 minutes, holding it like it could change weight in my hand. That day I tried to stay out, drove nowhere, walked around a grocery store without buying anything, but my body wanted to go back, not to rest, to confirm. That's what it becomes eventually. Not fear, but maintenance. You don't want to know. You want to confirm what you already suspect. That something you can't name is watching the way you move through your own space. I stayed up all night, not just awake, standing in the center of the living room, lights off, the air didn't move. I told myself, if it speaks again, I'll speak back. I don't remember what I meant. I don't know what I thought I'd say. At 4:16 a.m. it came. This time not a whisper. A click behind the wall, like a mouth opening. I said without meaning, "Do I hear you?" And then for the first time it stopped. The next morning, I found something behind the fridge. Not placed, dropped, a key, rusted small with a tag. Crawl space. I don't have a crawl space, at least I didn't think I did. But I remembered something the landlord mentioned. A sublevel door under the stairs when I moved in. Said not to worry, it was sealed. I hadn't checked. Why would I? That part of the house never made noise. Until now I opened it. The smell hit first, not decay, not mildew, just old time, like paper left in a hot drawer for years. The space was barely 5 feet deep, 6 across, dirt floor. No markings, except for a shape in the dust. A circle not drawn but pressed. Like someone had been sitting there for a long time. I couldn't breathe. Not because of fear, but because the air didn't move. I stepped back and sealed it again. That night the whisper didn't come, neither did the next. The house was silent, not still, just quiet, like it had gotten what it wanted. I should have been relieved, but silence is only peace when it follows noise, not when it replaces it. I started dreaming then, not vivid dreams, just recurring. A room with no walls, just light, and the feeling that I'm supposed to listen to something, but I'm always too late. Always waking up the moment I understand what I was about to hear. Weeks passed. No more whisper, no more warmth in the walls. The tape I put up is still there, but now I leave the light on, not because I'm afraid, because I miss it. That sound, that breath, it was mine, and when it stopped, something in me went quiet too. This morning I found something else under my pillow, a piece of drywall. Clean edge, cut, not crumbled. I haven't touched the wall in weeks, but it's there, with another note. Same pencil, same paper. This one says, "Thank you for listening." And here's the part I haven't said out loud. The part that undoes me. I think it was me, not now, but before. A version of me that lived here alone, lost, talking to walls, wanting to be heard. And I think that sound, the whisper, I think it was a memory trying to escape its own silence. A pressure trapped in drywall, a breath left behind. And I was the first person quiet enough to hear it. I haven't told anyone. I won't, because if I do, it means I'm done listening. And I think that's how it starts, the forgetting, the loudness, the things we bury in tile and tape. I keep the house dark now. I let the air stay warm. I lean my ear to each wall every night. And when it finally speaks again, I'll know exactly what to say. She left the front door ajar, like she wanted someone to follow, but the house never opened again after that. The voice memo was only 11 seconds long. I still haven't deleted it. Not because I miss her, because it keeps changing, I told myself. For months it was shock that made me ignore the signs. The cold spoon left on the counter, the light in the attic even though I hadn't been up there in years, the memo arriving at exactly 3:17 a.m., though I hadn't spoken to her in over a year. I figured it was one of those things grief does, like a bruise where there's no wound. Like opening a drawer and not remembering what you were looking for. I didn't even notice she'd left her shoes. She had a thing about shoes, never left the house without checking them twice, once by touch and once by sound, tapping the heel against the floor like a clock. When I found them by the door, her black ones with the red lining, I sat down and stared for nearly an hour because they were pointing in, not out. That's when I listened to the memo again. She sounded winded, like she'd been crying, but there was no background noise. No traffic, no echo, no room tone. It was like her voice had been recorded inside a vacuum. She said, "Don't come home. I don't know what's happening, but you have to stay away. If you come here, it'll get worse. It only notices movement. I think it's in the walls." That was all 11 seconds. I played it back twice that night, then threw my phone under a pile of laundry because it made the room feel off balance, like the bed had shifted a few inches. While I wasn't looking, I didn't go to the house for 3 weeks. The mailbox kept getting full, and eventually someone must have complained. Because I got a call from the building association asking if I'd moved out. I said no. I didn't tell them what I really wanted to ask: if they'd seen anyone come in, if they'd heard anything late at night, if anyone else had received a message. When I finally went back, everything was where she left it, except one thing: the hallway mirror had a crack running down the middle, perfectly vertical, like it had been folded. I don't know why that scared me more than the shoes or the message. Or the attic light. Something about it felt intentional, not just broken, but marked. And then I saw it, the date on the kitchen calendar was still stuck on March. She disappeared in July. I remember because it was hot enough to melt the candles, but the calendar said March 12th. I never flipped it, neither did she. I reached out to turn the page, and the air around it felt colder than the rest of the room. I touched the corner of the paper and pulled, but it wouldn't move. It wasn't glued, wasn't pinned, weird, just stuck. I didn't try again. That night I listened to the memo a third time, this time with headphones on, hoping I'd catch something in the background, her breathing, maybe, or the sound of her coat. But there was nothing until the 8th second, right after she says, "It only notices movement." There's this shift, like someone inhaling close to the mic, but it's not her, it's deeper, slower. I looped that section trying to isolate it, and the more I listened, the more it felt like the sound was crawling into my head from behind, not through my ears, but through the space behind my thoughts. The memo ends and loops back to silence, but I swear there's something different every time. One night it ended with a sharp click, the next a soft hiss, but I couldn't prove it, and I couldn't stop listening because every time I did, I'd notice something new, something wrong. I started recording my own messages just to see if it was the phone, just to hear my own voice. Again, I'd say things like, "This is me, this is real, this is the hallway," and play them back immediately. At first they sounded normal. Then they started to lag just a fraction of a second off, like an echo that predicted what I was about to say. One morning I woke up to find 5 new voice memos on my phone, all blank, all 11 seconds long. They were named with timestamps for nights. I didn't remember being awake. I checked my door camera and saw nothing, no movement, but the attic light was back on. I tried calling her, of course I did. Her number was still active, still linked to our plan, but every time I called it would ring once, then cut to silence. Not a voicemail, not a tone, just a dead, weightless pause that lasted exactly 11 seconds before disconnecting. That's when I remembered something she used to say before all of this: silence is never empty. She'd tell me when I'd leave the TV on at night. It just means something else is waiting, I thought. It was poetic. Now I don't. I started keeping the TV on again. First for comfort, then because I noticed it would sometimes flicker just before I received a new voice memo, like the house knew I needed warning. The flicker came at 3:17 a.m. always. I tested it once by staying in a hotel with the phone turned off. No flicker, no memo when. I came home, the power was out, but the attic light was still glowing faint and amber, like it was bleeding through the ceiling. I climbed up for the first time. Since she vanished, the air was dry and thin, and the floor felt soft like it was covered in dust or fur. But it wasn't, it was covered in paper. Dozens of sheets all torn from the same calendar, March 12th. Some were folded, some were stuck to the floor like they'd melted there. None of them had handwriting, except one. The last one I found pinned to the wooden beam above the far wall. It had a single sentence. It only stops when you sit still. I don't remember how long I stayed up. Their hours may be long enough for the sun to rise and disappear again. When I finally came down, I found a new memo on my phone. This one wasn't from her. It was from me, my voice, my cadence, my exact tone. But I never recorded it. It said, "Don't come upstairs again. You moved, it knows now." That's when I realized what had been bothering me about the mirror in the hallway. I wasn't in it. At first I thought it was the crack, maybe. I'd stepped too far to the side, but no, I leaned into it right up to the glass. Still nothing, the walls behind me, the stair rail, even the light bulb. But not me, not my face, not my eyes, not even a shadow. I didn't scream. I just stood there until the hallway started to feel smaller, like the edges were closing in. I backed away and sat on the floor, phone in hand, watching the memo replay. My voice saying things I didn't remember saying, my voice warning me. I haven't left the house since, not because I'm scared of what's outside. I'm scared of what will follow me. Whatever this is, it's not confined to the house. It's stitched into movement itself, into memory, into noticing. The more I try to explain it, the more it learns the shape of my thoughts. I've started covering the mirrors, taping down the calendar, turning off the attic light at the breaker. Though it still comes on sometimes, even when the power's out. I think it doesn't need electricity. I think it feeds on something older, something quieter I haven't received. A memo in 3 nights, which should be a relief. But now the silence feels worse, like it's holding its breath, like it's waiting for me to move. I leave food at the door, but it doesn't rot. I tried throwing it out once, but it reappeared the next day, still warm. I haven't heard from anyone, not the association, not friends, not her family, nothing. The world outside feels paused, like I never really came back, like I've been in this house since March. I looked at my phone's calendar, and it says July, but when I open the drawer where we kept the receipts, every one of them ends in March. The bank statements, the grocery slips, even the envelope from the dentist, all marked March 12th. I opened the fridge and found a bottle of milk, stamped March 13th, unopened. I poured it out. It came out warm. Then I got a new memo, 11 seconds, her voice. "It's in the air now. You shouldn't have poured it out. Don't touch anything warm." I wanted to scream, but the sound caught in my throat like a memory that never happened. I don't remember the last time I actually slept. I lie down, yes. I close my eyes, but my mind stays on looping, replaying the voice, replaying the crack in the mirror, replaying the way her shoes pointed inward. I think she never left. I think she's somewhere in the attic or in the memo. I think her voice isn't hers anymore. It's just using her tone because it knows. I listen. I tried deleting the file. It reappeared. I changed phones. It copied itself. I stopped checking. Then it started playing by itself. 11 seconds. Same message. But this time there was a new sound at the end. A door slowly creaking open. I checked every door in the house. None of them moved, but I can't find the one from the recording. I think it's somewhere inside the walls. I think it opens a little more every night. I used to believe in grief. Now I believe in patterns. I believe in the cold spaces between sentences. I believe in sitting perfectly still. Because when I do, the house holds its breath, and when I move, it learns. I don't know if she left that memo to save me or to warn me not to end up like her. But it's too late. I already moved. I already listened. And now there's something inside me that watches from behind the sound. I don't want to be here. I don't want to listen anymore. But the memo plays again at 317, 11 seconds, always 11 seconds. And every time it plays, it forgets a word. Like it's unraveling, like it's learning to speak me today. It just said, "Don't come." Tomorrow it might say nothing at all, or worse something. I finally understand.